12 books that teach us what happens when we obey God and what happens when we don't.
Now let's take a break from all that history to talk about poetry. Okay, we're talking about poetry. You're next.
It tasted so good. Where are you at?
You're at the part that says poetry.
Poetry? You mean there's poetry in the Bible?
Elaine. Oh wait, no. Come on. Mike, you know the middle of the Bible is filled with poetry.
That hurts. Yes, I do, Elaine. There are 5 books of poetry. 5 different books with poems that praise God and teach us about God's wisdom. No. Oh, this is way too much for my hand. You got the easy ones.
No, I don't. I had a paragraph at the beginning. Well, let's go to them. Okay.
The first book is a poem about a man named Job.
Job.
Who?
Right? Okay, what's his name?
Job.
It's a man named who?
Job.
Job.
Well, spelled Job, so. Who had a very bad day? I did.
How bad was it?
It was terrible. Okay. It was so bad, he lost his family, all his wealth, and even got sick. Very sick.
Oh no. Does that sound enthusiastic?
He was in such pain, he would scratch himself with sharp pieces of clay to get some relief. But no matter what happened, he kept his faith in God.
We can pretend to scratch our arms as a hand motion to remember Job.
Great idea. Then we can lift one hand to heaven for the book of Psalms.
That's a great idea. Psalms is a collection of 150 songs of praise to our God. So let's lift our hand to praise God with psalms.
Next come the book of Proverbs, which contains the wisdom of Solomon and other wise teachers. If you listen to Proverbs, you will be wise indeed.
Hey, that's a good hand motion for Proverbs. Point your finger like you're teaching something important.
I like it.
Next comes the book of Ecclesiastes, another book of wisdom from Solomon, in which he tells us that everything except loving God is meaningless. So let's shrug our shoulders to remember Ecclesiastes means everything other than loving God is meaningless.
Finally, we come to Song of Songs, a poem about love and marriage.
They go together like a horse and a carriage.
Let's pretend we're putting a ring on our fingers to present marriage and Song of Songs.
Let's review our books of poetry one more time. Scratch your arm for Job.
Job is our first book of poetry. What's our first book of poetry? Job. Very good. What's our second book?
Lift your hands in praise for Psalms.
What's our second book of poetry? Lift our hands in praise. What's the next book? Psalms. Okay. What's our next book after Psalms when you're teaching?
Point your finger to remember the wisdom of Proverbs.
Proverbs, right? Gives us wisdom, right? And then what's our next book?
Shrug your shoulders for Ecclesiastes and put a ring on your finger for Song of Solomon.
Okay.
Let's pretend I read that part already. What's the next page?
What's the last page?
Next week, we'll memorize all 50 of the Psalms.
What?
Just kidding. Let's just see who knows all 22 books. Repeat after us. Genesis.
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 Wait, we gotta say it together.
Yeah. We got, okay, let's remember,
No.
okay, because we're going to play a game after this.
Oh.
So, it's all 22 books. We're going to divide y'all into teams. And I'm going to have to put Amaya on one team, but Denise on another team, because y'all are, yes. Yes, because y'all, she's a team lead, you a team lead. Yes.
Genesis.
Okay, so, okay, listen, you gotta listen, because I'm going to turn this around. It's going to be, you got to listen. In order to play a game, we're going to play. Y'all ready? Okay. All 22 books. Repeat after them.
Genesis.
Exodus.
Leviticus.
Numbers.
Deuteronomy.
Josiah.
Joshua.
Oops. Judges.
Judges.
Ruth.
1 and 2
Samuel.
1 is the first and second Samuel.
First and second Kings.
First and second Kings.
First and second Chronicles.
First and second Chronicles.
Ezra. Nehemiah. Esther. Job. Psalms. Proverbs. Ecclesiastes.
And Songs of Psalms.
Y'all got it?